So this is your stream table. This comes with a plastic support stand, 6 feet of plastic hose. This is a drainage tray. And then you also have a baggie of nuts and bolts as well. So the rest of the materials in your kit include the following. You have acrylic neon pink paint. You have a barn. You have anywhere from 8 to 10 little pipettes. You have a special watering can. You have extra farm toys, sheep. You have 4 dice as well. You have coffee filters, and you have 3 handouts. You have a water quality handout. You have a plant growth handout, and then you also have a nitrogen cycle handout. And probably the most important thing that comes in this kit are the 9 sponges that look like these. So the things that you will have to gather that don't come in your kit are the following. You will need a bucket that can hold a decent amount of water. You will need a plastic cup that you don't care about, that can be recycled later. And then you will need quite a bit of fresh water, at least 12 liters total. And you'll also need colored pencils. So this is how you set up your stream table. So first you want to pull out all of your materials, and then you would want to take your plastic stand, and if you notice there's a tiny hole in the stream table on one of the ends. So in this end I have it completed already, and you'll want to put the stand under this end. Just like so. And then the next thing you'll want to do is you want to set aside your hose just for a second. You're going to need it. And you're also going to want to pull out this little baggie of washers and clamps. So this piece right here is used to stop water flow, and so this will slide onto one end of the hose. Just want to open it up. And slide it on just like that. So right now, if I was to pour water through this hose, it would flow out both ends. However, in order to completely stop the water flow, you need to pinch these 2 pieces together, and there are tiny little notches. You want to close this as far as possible. And you'll hear a little click. 2, 3. So you should have 3 clicks, and then once that's closed, this will completely stop water from flowing out one end. And so this end can just go into your drainage bucket. So in order to connect the second end of your hose to your table, what you will want to do is you will want to take your hollow washer like this, and you will want to slide it into your table on one side. And so the pieces are sandwiched together. So you have a white on the inside and a gold on the outside. And so if you can imagine, your stream table will fit right in the middle. You'll want to finger tight this about as tight as it'll go, because the more snug the washers are together, the less likely that your table is going to leak. So then once that's done, like so, I have it already finished in here. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to take the end of the hose and you are going to shove it over the hollow washer. There's no easy way to do this. You kind of just have to muscle it. And then when you're finished, it should be shoved pretty much all the way up to the end. So with the stream tables, you want to really make sure that you don't overfill your table. And if you look, there are 2 lines here. You don't want to fill up your water past the second line. That is about, if you were going to measure it, it's about 9 liters. That is about the perfect amount of water that you need. Any more and you'll probably make a mess. So this is a potential setup of what your completed stream table should look like. You have 3 different farms that should be color-coded. And then you also have your coffee filters that are placed in here, and these are acting as plants in their little furrows as well. Also, as you're setting up your farms and your table, one thing you should remember is in order to increase the efficacy of this activity is you want to make sure that you get the sponges wet first, every single one, even the ones that are in the shallows. It'll help the activity go much more smoothly. So in our setup, you've probably noticed that not all the sponges look the same. So we have 3 different types. We have one that looks like this, which represents just a plot of farmland with little holes so that the kids can plant their plants. We also have another one with an animal on it, same idea. Kids plant their plants in the holes. However, the third sponges are the ones that are really important. These are for your older kids or your high school kids or adults who want to be more involved in the project. And so what these straws represent is they represent wells. So later on in the activity, you can use these as an additional teaching tool in order to draw up more well water and assess water quality as well downstream. So in order to draw in young students or people who are interested, what you can do is invite them over and invite them to draw a plant on one of the coffee filters that you have. If it's a small group, 4 to 5, you could probably have each person do 1 to 2 plants, but if you have a really large group, I would suggest sticking to 1 plant per person. And then as they're drawing their plants, they can draw whatever they want. This is a really good time to talk to them about their familiarity with nitrogen and fertilizers and potential runoff effects and sort of gauge what their previous knowledge might be. So once everyone has drawn their flower or their plant or their crop, what you want to do is either assist them or show them that you want to turn the coffee filter inside out so that their plant design is on the outside. And then what you want to do is pinch the center and you want to twist it in order to make it easier to plant your plants. So it should look like this. And then all you have to do is just slip it in one of the holes in one of your farms. Like so. Okay. The easiest way to do this, or the easiest way to achieve success, is to have no more than, I would say, probably 9 coffee filters or plants on a single farm. Any more than that, and there's overcrowding, and then you pollute the groundwater too quickly. However, there are a maximum of 24 holes per farm. But really, you only want to have a total of 27 coffee filters on your stream table at a time. And so another important part of the setup is to mix your water and your paint. This mixture is about a 1-to-1 ratio. If you want to make it easier for students to come and use this, I would say you can use more water and less paint, and if you want to make the activity more challenging, you can use more paint and less water, so it would be more concentrated. And so this has been mixed up previously with a 1-to-1 ratio. I would also recommend that you hold, or whoever is doing this, the volunteer should hold the cup of paint and very carefully and directly supervise the fertilizing of your plants. So now we're moving on to the actual design portion of this challenge. And so once you have all of your plants planted and you have your fertilizer mixed, the important part of this part of the activity is to remember that whoever's doing the activity, you will want them to consider how many plants they have on the farm, how much fertilizer they're using in order to maximize plant growth, but to also not pollute your groundwater and have runoff. And so then what you can do is you can fill up the pipettes and then give them to the students, just like so. And you want to make sure that when you are having the students do this activity, you want to directly apply the paint and water mixture to the sponge itself, not the actual plant or coffee filter. So this could be either directly on the sponge itself or underneath the furrows. So once you have had your students add their fertilizer, and it's up to them how much or how little they should add, really try to stay neutral about it if they ask you. It's really up to them on how much they would like to add. And then go ahead and once all the fertilizing is done, you can go ahead and wait maybe a minute or two and then make sure that the coffee filters have taken up our fertilizer mixture. And then we can go ahead and pull them out and see how much they have grown. And so in order to do so, you will use this plant growth handout. Looks like a green bullseye right here. And so obviously the larger the ring is, the more fertilizer you've used, and also the larger and faster your plant has grown. So let's pull out a couple. So when you open up your plants, they should potentially look something like this. And then what you can do is you can lay them over the bullseye like so. And you can gauge more or less how large your plant has grown. For the younger kids, you don't have to include the point system. But for the older kids, you will definitely want to consider the larger your plant grows, the more points. So after you have measured out your plants and your plant growth and tallied the points, you can go ahead and set this aside. And then what you want to do is now we want to get into the water quality portion of this activity. So here you'll want to use this handout and a clean pipette. Do not use the one from your paint and water mixture because that will taint your results. And so what you'll do is you want to lay this flat on a table. And what you can do is have the students use their pipettes and take up a water sample from a variety of different places. You can have them withdraw water right next to their plot or within their wells here or the colored straws in order to see if there's any water pollution. So here I have a sample right here, and then what you do is you place it somewhere on the handout, and then you'll check the color and compare. And so obviously the way that you want to sort of grade this, if you will, is the lighter the color, the less pollution there is. And so the better for the environment. The darker or the more pink the water is, the more polluted it is, and the more fertilizer that you have used. And the kids may want to redo this activity in order to improve their score. The climate change portion of this activity is an additional add-on to growing your plants and assessing water quality and plant growth. This is something that could be done with older kids or adults potentially. And so what you can do is you have a dice and you have a watering can filled with some water, and what you do is you can have a volunteer roll a dice, and each number represents a number of seconds of rainfall. So this portion of the activity is geared towards assessing the different types of fertilizer that farmers can use and how climate change is affecting weather and climate patterns, specifically rainfall, and so that may change potential water pollution. And so what you can do after the student has rolled the die, the volunteer who's leading this will want to hold the watering can, and then you can all count together 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi in order to demonstrate rainfall.